Hello, today we are doing time-lapse from HTB. It's an Active Directory machine and it's recommended in both the TJNull and LainKusanagi list to prepare for the OSCP. So let's get started. As always, we start with a port scan and I'm using auto recon with the recursive flag enabled. And since port scanning takes some time, I run it before and we can have a look at the results. To do so, I'm starting a Python HTTP server in my directory with the results. And then we can browse them in our web browser. We found port 88 for Kerberos. We also found port 139 for SMB. And we can see the domain name and also the computer name. Let's add both to our hosts file. We are also able to see some shares, and there's the shares, which is non-default. So let's check this out. I'm using the SMB client from Impacket, and we authenticate as anonymous user. I don't specify any password. We list the shares, and we want to use this one. And we found two folders. There is a zip file in depth, and we also find some files related to the labs in the help desk folder. Let's first check the zip file. And we need a password to extract this file. We can use the tool zip2john. And we store the hash in this file. And then we can try to crack it, and we use the RockU word list. And I cracked this hash before, and John remembers this, so let's just tell John to display the hash. And here we can see the password. And we now extracted this file. So this pfx file, it contains a public certificate and also a private key. And we can try to extract both of this information and then use this to authenticate. We can use OpenSSL. We define the format of this pfx file. This is the default one. We specify the input file. We don't want to extract the cert, and we want to store it in this file. And we also specify no DES to not encrypt our key. And we need another password. We can try the same one we extracted before, but it's invalid. So we can extract the hash from this file again. And crack it with John again. Again, I did this before, so we can just show the password again. And we can see this is the password. So we run our OpenSSL command again. We enter the password, and this time it worked. So we extracted the key, and now we can also extract the certificate. We use the flag no keys, and we store it in this file. Now we can use either WinRM and provide our certificate and key and see if we can authenticate. And since we authenticate with the certificate, we need to use the flag -s for SSL enabled. And we found our first flag, the user flag. We can see our user is in the development group, which is a non-standard group. We can continue with some automated enumeration and transfer WinPiece and see if we find anything interesting. The upload was successful, so let's run it. WinPiece is done, and we can check the results and see if we find anything useful. We can see that we have a PowerShell history file, and it's always good to check if there are any credentials or other useful information stored inside that. And it looks like we were lucky. We see there is a user service deploy, and this is the password for this user. So let's see if they work. We need to pass the SSL flag again, and now we have access for this user. And we can see the deploy user is part of the Labs readers group. So Labs is local administrator password solution, and our user is able to read these. So we can use the getAdComputer command to get information about the domain controller. And we are interested in one specific attribute, and it's this one. That's where the password is stored. And we can see it here. We can use now this password and authenticate as administrator. And we are logged in as administrator. This time the root flag is stored under a different user, and we have now access to read it. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.